What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Unsportsmanlike Content Super Bowl preview show. I'm Sean Redden, joined with Nick D'Amelio doing the producer side of the things and going to give us his insight on the Super Bowl matchup. And then, of course, Zach Deal, who will be joining us in a little bit. But Super Bowl Sunday in Tampa Bay, Tampa Brady, whatever nickname you want to give him, the GOAT is what I call him, heading to another Super Bowl, first year with the Buccaneers, taking on the Wonder Kid, Patty Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback in the league who is a legitimate threat to Tom Brady's status as the greatest of all time. And beating Tom Brady here and getting his second Super Bowl in a short while is going to give him a huge step in surpassing Tom Brady into that in the GOAT status. But we're going to get into all that. Plus, we're going to play a little bit of trivia for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card for our listeners. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We're going to do that towards the end of the show. Going to hand out some prizes, but we're also not the only one handing out prizes. Every day, every show, all the content brought to you by Viget. Download the Viget app in your Play Store or App Store. Use promo code UC Sports. That's the letter U, the letter C, Sports. And you get 1,000 free Viget coins to play, and that's a huge jump start, especially now, because once you get to a certain amount, you can actually redeem the Viget coins for a PS5. So, fellas, no more relying on your lady to try to get you a PS5. You don't gotta go the extra mile no more. You just gotta you gotta download the Viget app, follow my page, use my picks, and you have a PS5 in no time. But Zach, it looks like you're back with us, so welcome into the show.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Let's start off here. Let's start off with probably the most important question, honestly, for Super Bowl Sunday, at least in my eyes. What are we putting on our plates on Sunday? What is the ideal food? What does the ideal pantry, kitchen on Super Bowl Sunday look like?
Well, first off, as the food expert here in the Sportsmanlike Content,
Nick is our actual food expert here at UC Sports.
Let me throw myself in here on this one, man. Look, you need some sort of dip, whether you get the buffalo chicken or the taco dip, the pepperoni dip, something like that.
How many layers are on that taco dip? Because we need depth. We need a team around us. We're not just going with star players here.
You gotta be at least this thick, man. Because you don't know. I know it's COVID, but you don't know how many family members you're gonna have. Maybe some close friends you trust to come over, watch the game with you. And then wings. I mean, what is the Super Bowl without wings? You know what I'm saying? So maybe a pizza here and there, but definitely wings and dip are the ideal in my mind. But if you guys got something to add, feel free. But in my mind, they're the Super Bowl food.
Oh, you must have had some taco layer dip before you got on here.
I did, dude. I wish.
Nah, I'm with Nick. You have to. I'm cool. I'm cool with the taco dips or the buffalo chicken dips that people want to make. I get it. It's nowadays that's like the big thing is the dips. I've actually had a cheeseburger dip before where it was ground beef, cheese, and all that. Shit slapped. It was life changing. But but that was fire. I'd okay some cheeseburger dip as well at a Super Bowl party, but pizza and wings. You have pizza and wings. I'm content. I don't care about all the dips. I don't care about anything like that. Pizza, wings, and of course, some great tasting, less fillings.
There we go.
That's all you need.
There we go. Who's your QB1 though? Is it pizza or wings? Like if you could only decide between one. Like for me, I like pizza. I like all types of pizza. We're talking plain, special toppings, all types of pizza. But I feel like they complement each other so much that you really couldn't even differentiate like which one means more. Like you need both.
Yeah, my quarterback.
You can't really have a quarterback in an offense that really doesn't have anybody to throw to, and you can't have a receiver that can't get the ball, that doesn't have anybody that can get the ball to him. So
my quarterback would definitely be pizza, and my number one target on the outside would be the wings, and then my offensive coordinator that makes it all come together is a side of ranch.
Side of ranch? You got the Eagles offensive coordinating staff then that last year with 12 different flavors and options to tell you what how to play the quarterback position. So I don't know. I'm a blue cheese guy. That's where you call me wrong there. Like you don't have the strong structure of the offensive line. You didn't even mention the trenches. Like what snacks do you have around the main stars to keep everything together?
That's the dip, bro.
I'll die on the hill.
I think it's
blue cheese is disgusting.
No, blue cheese is only good with wings and celery. That's it. Any other time, cancel me
good.
out.
It's good in the trash. That's where it's good. It's repulsive.
That's where you got to put that burger.
I don't even like looking at it.
Whatever you got.
I don't even like looking at
Sean. Just everybody beware. If you invite Sean to your Super Bowl party, he's most likely not making any dips for you. It's just giving me off the vibe, but he's not creating any dips or anything. He's more so coming with the scoop and score with his Tostito scoop. So
I'll bring a can of dip.
Creating the turnover. Speaking of scoops and scores, turnovers. It's going to be a big storyline of the Super Bowl this year. Obviously, the Bucs, outside of having the greatest quarterback of all time that they signed this past year, and it's the Tom Brady effect, being in the Super Bowl, switching conferences, making it back to the big game. But their defense, honestly, the way that they've been winning games is how well their defense has been playing. So young, but they're very opportunistic, and they create a lot of turnovers. Do you think they're going to be able to get to Patrick Mahomes in the pass rush and create turnovers, or do you think it's more so going to have to be just the Kansas City Chiefs pretty much beating themselves?
I think the two offensive lines are the biggest X factor in this matchup, with the Chiefs obviously going to be missing Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. They're two starting offensive tackles, but the Chiefs coming into that Buffalo Bills game, and I don't believe he was sacked in that matchup either, but they hadn't given up a sack in 101 straight dropbacks. But now you're going up against a different – I know how good the Bills defense was, but you're going up against a different animal this Sunday versus this Buccaneers. In my opinion, I've been banging the table on it for the past 2 years that the Buccaneers had the best front seven in the NFL. But I think Andy Reid is going to come up with a game plan. I'm obviously you losing your two starting tackles, including a guy who's as good as Mitchell Schwartz is. He might be the best right tackle in the NFL. That's a huge loss. But if there's a coach coming off a bye who I can trust a game plan, a script to be able to get the ball out of their quarterback's hands efficiently to kind of negate the pass rush, it would definitely be Andy Reid. But then on the flip side, you have the Buccaneers, whose offensive line has been kind of inconsistent so far this year. They've been up and down. I thought they actually played really well against Washington's defensive front, and then they stepped up big time versus the Saints as well, who wreaked havoc versus the Buccaneers in their first two matchups earlier this year. Packers, they don't really have a pass rush like that. Their defense is more so on paper good, but they're not really. I was banging that table. I don't see how the Buccaneers lost to the Packers because that defense, I mean, they have Jair Alexander. They have a couple of nice names, but as a whole group, they're not really that well. They didn't play that well all year. But I think Andy Reid is going to come up with a game plan to try to negate this Buccaneers pass rush, but they're going to have to find – if the Buccaneers are going to win, they're going to have to put Mahomes on the ground.
100%. And it's going to become it's based off the edge pressure that they're going to be able to create. They can stop the run, getting Vita Vea back. The one thing about the Chiefs,
nobody runs on the Buccaneers.
The Chiefs are primed for this moment. I mean, they actually in their practices they rotate their offensive linemen through every position, just consistently throughout the entire season, so they're ready for any type of situation. So, I mean, they obviously had the barber situation where they had 20 players signed up to get their hair cut by one barber, and their starting center, Daniel Kilgore, was actually the guy that was mid-haircut, and that's the meme that's floating around with him with the half cut. Maybe I'll rock that look next year if the Eagles lose the division once again. Maybe I'll do the half-cut look with the half on one side, whatever, but the Daniel Kilgore. But he's going to be out. But like you said, Andy Reid, if anybody's going to be able to overcome this scheme-wise, I mean, he's the guy to do it. So, but the Buccaneers, just like I said, just getting Vita Vea back, not only do they get such a dominant inside force, and that was his first game back, so getting a little bit of layoff time to recover from his first game back in a very long time and to get back up in the mix. In the 5 games that he played in the regular season, he already had 2 sacks. So we already know what he does as a run stuffer. You add Ndamukong Suh. I don't really know if anybody who's watched the football for the past 10 to 15 years needs any introduction to the name Ndamukong Suh. He's still doing the same stuff. It's weird. It almost seems like Ndamukong Suh is like the same exact player. He just doesn't get any of the same type of notoriety that he used to get. But
not a lot of unless your name's Aaron Donald, a lot of people let the D tackles go by the wayside.
I mean, Aaron Donald, I love Aaron Donald, but Ndamukong Suh was like the first one to really put defensive linemen in like the mid 2000s, that late era. That his Nebraska tape is the most outrageous defensive lineman tape you'll watch the past 10 to 15 years of football.
He was considered for the Heisman at Nebraska.
Yeah, it was outrageous. And he was bullying people back in the day, too. He seems like he's toned down a little bit. Who knows? The tempers were flared, possibly in the Super Bowl. But I really like the matchup in the trenches. I think both sides, there's definitely weaknesses for both teams as good as they are. And I think it's really just going to come to the matchup. And you have to get your best pass rushers in situations where they can succeed. And I think that's where the Bucs will win this game, if they're able to get a consistent pass rush that they've been able to get. They can run the man press coverage, even though I do not want them to do it versus Tyreek Hill, because we saw that happen in the first matchup with him going for 200-plus yards in the first quarter of the game. So as if they can get pass rush, maybe they can get away with it a little bit. But I that's one matchup I do not like going into.
So Zach, I'm happy you brought that up, because that's my main point emphasis to watch in this game is the cornerbacks for both teams. I mean, you have Carlton Davis, like you said, who was absolutely destroyed last time they played. But not only that, you have Winfield Jr. coming back from an injury to play in this game. And then nobody in Carolina, nobody in Kansas City surprises me on that defense. You got Rashad Breeland, who's kind of been a journey guy. He was with Washington for a while, bounced over to Carolina, I believe, and then came over to Kansas City. He's starting. They got Snead, the rookie, who kind of showed a little bit here and there. But other than that, this is a lot. Yeah, I think he's going to be good, but when you're going against third best
defensive back outside of Tyrann Mathieu, but I mean,
when you're going against Tom Brady, though, this is going to be a high-scoring game. This is going to be very similar to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm sorry to bring this up, the Philadelphia Eagles, New England Patriots Super Bowl, the 41-33. This is going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to come down to turnovers, like you guys said earlier, and it's really going it's going to be interesting to see if any of these corners can step up, because on both sides of the ball, you're not going against, a slouch. I mean, you're going against Mike Evans, you're going against Antonio Brown, you're going against Chris Godwin, and then you flip it, you're going against Tyreek Hill, you're going against Sammy Watkins. I mean, there's so many dudes, Travis Kelce, and on the other side, Rob Gronkowski. The corners and the safeties on one of these teams are going to have to step up, and the cornerback and safety group, the defensive back group that steps up more, is going to help their team win the game. And it probably won't be a talking point because we have the two best quarterbacks in the entire game playing each other, but it should be, because it's going to get wild, boys. It's going to get wild. Bet the over.
See, I don't know if I'm firing in the over yet. I'm going to get in. I have some more things I got to punch in and see how my algorithm comes out. The Green Zone will be out on Saturday. Big Super Bowl card. I'm probably gonna have over 150 bets. When you factor in all the props and then the halftime shit that's going on, I'm going to definitely be on the bunch of props. So be on the lookout for that. Comes out Saturday. But one of the props I do like, I can feel comfortable enough giving that out now. The Patrick Mahomes over 40.5 passing attempts. I feel comfortable enough giving that out. He had 49 pass attempts when these two teams matched up in Week 12, despite having the lead for the entire game and having a 17-point lead for the majority of it. They passed the ball at a 72% clip. They should be going pass heavy again, with the Buccaneers having the number one rush defense in DVOA and the 8th explosive run defense in the NFL. And then also in the 6 games where they had Vita Vea this year, they're even better than those numbers anticipate. And then the Chiefs in games where they're favored by 3.5 points or less. So basically when Vegas anticipates it being a close game, Patrick Mahomes averages 45 pass attempts. So I feel comfortable giving out the over 40.5. And then also in the 6 games this season with Vita Vea, the Buccaneers haven't given up more than 87 yards in a game. And in total, they've given up 359 yards on 125 carries, totaling to 2.87 yards per play. So Patrick Mahomes is going to have to be airing it out for this Chiefs team to have success. And that's when I think this Tampa Bay defense, facing these two left tackles that are going to be backups in this game, may be able to just tee off and just come at them.
Yeah, I can't really see the run game being an option for either team this week, just because
I think the Buccaneers are going to be able to run the ball down the Chiefs' throat.
That's what I was about to say. Actually, when
Really?
Nick first was talking about the pass attempts things, and then Sean was talking about the numbers on the pass attempts itself, I envision if the Bucs really want to win this game, they're going to try and take the ball out of Mahomes' hands as much as possible, which means they're going to have to run the ball. You have Ronald Jones, who almost went for 1,000 yards this season, and he's averaging like 5.1 a clip. And you obviously have Leonard Fournette, who's my favorite player, who has all the talent in the world. He's just stuck in a certain situation. We saw it versus the Packers last week when the average run, next-gen stats, he was supposed to gain, I think, 3 total yards, and there was like a 0.3% chance of him scoring. And he's juking people out, spinning. So the 1-2 punch that they have, they like to get Ronald Jones going early, even though of late with Ronald Jones dealing with the situation, missing a couple playoff games, and Leonard Fournette really took over that job as of now and really adheres to the playoff style of football. They like getting Ronald Jones going early, and then once they get that lead on you, they just really want to run the clock out physicality-wise with Leonard Fournette. So I think that gives them the best opportunity to win the game. Obviously, they're going to make plays in the pass game, but the Chiefs aren't set up like that. I mean, you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Williams, Le'Veon Bell. They could do whatever they want in the run game if they really wanted to, but they're the type of team, they're up 10 in a close game, and they're still taking risks and shots because they want to get up 17, and they'll throw the ball. It does not matter. So, I mean, that's the same stuff that put the Bucs back into the game, was able to have them score 14 points in their first matchup in the fourth quarter to close the gap from 27-10 to 27-24. So I think if the Bucs, like I said, really want to win this game, they're going to have to be smart, make their plays, get some turnovers, get a lead, and then try and run the clock out.
So here's why. I'm happy you brought that up, because here's why I said that neither team, I don't think, is able to get the run going. Because the Chiefs, what you just said, absolutely know that. They know that the Bucs are going to try to keep Pat Mahomes off the field. So the one thing, if they're focusing on anything in this game, should be stopping the run. They have to find a way to stop the run, whether that's more blitzing, with Steve Spags back there. It could be anything. They always are coming up with different defensive designs, and they need to capitalize on that. And with the Super Bowl, and I may be putting too much behind it, I just see this as a all-out pass attack kind of game, because the Chiefs need to stop that run because they need Patty Mahomes out there to win. So I think they need to put extra emphasis on stopping Ronald Jones or a big running back like your boy Fournette. So it's going to be interesting. I'm also interested to see which way the Bucs go. Does Fournette get more of the carries, or do they go with the more elusive guy?
Fournette's the guy. Ronald Jones is done for the season. He's
I think Fournette's playing the job, and it's not even being like
Ronald
not
Jones
even really a
favoritism
thing. Like
yeah. But Ronald Jones is better than Fournette. But you gotta ride the hot hand for #playoff Lenny. He's been going off these past few weeks, and you gotta ride that wave. And I think the thing that hinders Ronald Jones, surprisingly, because of how skilled he is and how fast he is, he's terrible as a pass catcher out of the backfield, and that's where Fournette has the advantage. And I think instead of being able to rotate them and then having the defense be like, all right, Ronald Jones is in the game, here comes a run play, you just leave Fournette out there, let him do both, and that way you can keep the defense guessing. But I think the Bucs' number one priority this week is going to be establishing the run. They threw the ball to 76% clip in the matchup versus the Chiefs last time, and we saw how that worked out. They started the game with 4 straight punts, didn't put any points on the board until there was 8:32 left in the second quarter. Tom Brady and this offense has to be more efficient. They're going to get the ball first to start the game, and I feel like just like they did with the Packers, they're going to have to come out and put points on the board on that opening drive and put the pressure on the Chiefs when it comes to that. But the Chiefs have the 19th ranked defense in EPA. They're 12th per dropback in EPA, but they're 31st in rushing. And I don't know if that's because of the personnel not being able to stop the run. I think it kind of means they don't care about stopping the run. I think it's a passing league, and then their heads, if they're like, if we can limit the passing game, we'll be okay giving up plays on the run. And I think they can get away with it versus the Buccaneers this weekend, because while we say how good Fournette has been playing, the Buccaneers are still 30th in the NFL in explosive runs. They don't hit big plays in the run game. It's more of a ground and pound, wear you out. And meanwhile, the Patriots, I'm just so used to Tom Brady being there, the Patriots, but the Buccaneers have the 30th ranked rush offense in EPA, but they're the 4th most explosive passing game. So I feel like the Chiefs will be like, we'll allow Fournette or Ronald Jones or whoever it is, to be able to eat us up on the ground. We just can't give up the big plays to these weapons outside. And what's impressive to me, though, is between these two teams, the Chiefs have actually – the Bucs have a top 10 pass defense. They're 7th in EPA per dropback, and they're 8th in explosive pass rate. But the Chiefs, it doesn't matter how good your defense is. They've played 3 top 10 defenses this season. They've scored 34, 27, and 32 points versus them 3 teams. So I don't think it matters how good the defense is. And then it's also the same thing for the Buccaneers. I just said they're the 4th highest rated offense in explosiveness when it comes to the passing game. They scored 30 points in 6 straight games. And numbers-wise, this is the worst defense that they've played in them games coming up with the Chiefs. But for the year, they're ranked 4th in explosive pass rate, and they've actually played the 10th hardest schedule of opposing defenses in the NFL this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I don't think the Chiefs are going to stop the Buccaneers on the ground.
Yeah, it is. It's a wait and see. And Sean, you drop some hardcore knowledge on us right there with the stats. I just personally. And we'll see what happens, But personally, I just think that the Chiefs, and I'm sure you guys can agree, the Chiefs need to stop these runs, this ground and pound that they got going on. Hold Leonard Fournette under 4 yards a carry. Get them to have to punt and get the ball back. It's just going to be – I just see this game as – and it could be the fan in me wanting to see an exciting game because I keep having flashbacks to New England versus the Rams. I just want that all out air attack, and the 500.
I mean, one thing that you can guarantee, you're not going to see Jared Goff playing in a Super Bowl this year, so you don't have to worry about 3 points on the board. So
or the fact that he's in Detroit, you never have to. Yeah, or he's in Detroit, and you never have to see that again. So
hey, they're still going to lose everything. They're still going to lose every Thanksgiving. It's all right.
Yeah, he's going to Detroit and biting kneecaps, according to the head coach. So
the weirdest thing I've heard.
We'll see how that plays out. But
I got a question for you guys. Super Bowl specific question.
Let's hear it.
You win the coin toss. First off, let me ask you guys this: you guys betting on the coin toss? Does it get that bad for you guys with a profit?
Always.
I put $300 on the coin toss every Super Bowl.
I put 100. So I mean.
And I've never won it.
No, me either.
At least he's honest with himself. All right, so you guys do
that. There's no data for me to run for the coin toss.
Yeah, no, that's just a 50-50. That's a 50-50. Yeah. That's like seeing a war table down in AC. You just got to take your chances. It is what it is.
Coin toss will never be a red hot lock.
Oh yeah, you got to be 50-50 odds though. I'll take it any day of the week.
That's what I said.
But
who cares?
If you win the coin toss, whether you're the Chiefs or the Bucs, and this might be a different answer depending on which team you are between those two particular teams in this matchup, do you take the ball or do you defer to half?
See, well, that's why I said when I was giving the Buccaneers breakdown about how they have to start fast and come out and get points on opening drive, I said they're going to get the ball first. Andy Reid always defers to the second half, and the Buccaneers always receive. The Buccaneers are getting the ball first, start the Super Bowl.
I can't fight that logic. I know if that's the
me personally. If I was the coach, I'm always deferring to the second half.
See, I'm the opposite.
I want to get a lead. I want to start strong defensively, get a lead that way, get a turnover, and then get the ball in the second half to start that ground and pound.
See, I'm a little bit different. With two high caliber teams like this, if I'm the head coach on one of them, I want to get the ball in my quarterback's hands, score early, and maybe have, see how the rest of the game goes.
At the end of the game.
Yeah, and go for it. Get the ball first. So, score first. This is going to be a lot of points in this game. Personally, that's how I believe there's going to be a lot of points in this game. You want to score first and then hope your defense is able to get you something where you can go up by 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. It's going to make it a tough comeback. So
that pressure the pressure that other teams feel when their defense is getting kind of beat up though isn't like the same pressure that the Kansas City defense feels. Like they could be down 14 scores and Patrick Mahomes is running around the sidelines telling everybody they're about to score, and then he will go out and score within like a minute. So that type
100%.
of pressure, it's like I said with the Chiefs, like the turnovers don't even really affect the Chiefs that they do with other teams because they'll come out and somehow that's when their defense will step up and make a play for them. And all they really need when you're the Kansas City Chiefs, all you really need is 1 to 2 stops a game and then just really rely on the offense to come through for you.
Yeah. 100%. That's why we started the show by saying the keys to the game were turnovers. You need Tom Brady can't come out in the second half and throw 3 interceptions like he did against the Packers.
He definitely cannot be doing the 7 attempts, 3 picks and 7 attempts, just throwing the ball up to Mike Evans. That's not the type of stuff you want to do, especially with the Honey Badger lurking around back there. I mean, you can do it when you got Darnell Savage literally getting Campbell souped out there, Kevin King getting Campbell souped out there versus the Packers. But when you got seasoned vets like the Honey Badger lurking around back there, I mean, if there is one player that's going to make a huge time play, if I'm believing correctly, Honey Badger was he had 6 interceptions this year at the safety position, and he plays in the box a lot too and drops back, plays all over, will blitz off the edge, 5'8", 185, 190. So if there is one player that's going to make a lot of plays for that defense, but then if you look at the Bucs defense, they can create turnovers at all levels, whether they're getting strip sacks with JPP or Shaq Barrett. They're collapsing the pocket interior-wise with Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea. Their linebackers create probably the best turnover-creating linebackers in the NFL, fly sideline to sideline. Devin White, 9 sacks, so he can come straight up on the middle on you. We know what Sean Murphy-Bunting has done. Carlton Davis fights out there. Just don't put him in man coverage with Tyreek Hill. That's all I'm telling you. I'll keep saying it. But, the Bucs, they can create turnovers in all different types of ways. You saw Jordan Whitehead before he went out versus the Packers after he made a huge, gigantic hit. He looked like he was literally playing Madden out there for the first 2 quarters of the game, just laying hit stick after hit stick on every single player on the field. So getting those 2 safeties back is going to be a whole different look. And if you're the Chiefs, you want to go off recent memory and you want to see how the Bucs match up versus the Packers, obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time that has a similar skill set to Patrick Mahomes. But how much does that tape really tell you if the back end isn't really what you're going to see come to the game on Sunday? Because the drop-off between who they had out there with Davis compared to their actual 2 starting safeties who are going to be healthy for this game is astronomical to me.
100%. Antoine Winfield, in my opinion, is one of the – I loved him coming out the draft. He was
You guys made fun of me about Denver Broncos 15th overall mock draft. You guys for telling me I was an outrageous pick. I was telling you this kid was ball.
Well, that's because there was 0% chance of him going 15th overall.
Nah, that was you know how I am. You know how I get excited and I base players off the BPA and I don't really get off based off.
It had nothing to do with Winfield.
It was me thinking he's a top 15 player in the class more so than thinking he was actually going to go 15 in.
I was gonna say I love Antoine Winfield, but he wasn't sniffing the pick. But
I mean, if we redraft right now though, he's probably
he's probably a first rounder.
Yeah.
But him and Jeremy Chin both go in the first round if you do a redraft from the safety position.
That was another guy I told you, Cam Chancellor 2.0. I love my safeties, man.
But Antoine Winfield is going to be a huge get back. But before we jump into the trivia a little bit, I want to throw out some props for those people who are interested in that sort of thing, kind of want to bet in a little early. But Saturday, I will give you the full slate on the Green Zone. You can find that wherever podcasts are found. And, of course, if you follow us on social media at UC Sports Media or Sportsmanlike Content on Facebook or on Sportsmanlike_content on the gram, you can find it over there as well. All the links and stuff will be posted. The Green Zone comes out Saturday. But real quick, just a few props that I'm looking at right now. Not solidified, but I'm probably going to be on these props. The Bucs over 6.5 points for the first quarter. I expect them to get the ball first. I expect that they've come out quicker. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL in first quarter scoring so far this year. They actually spent 7 games scoreless in the first quarter through the season, but so far in the playoffs, they've been coming out early and finding the end zone, or at the very least putting up points. Basically, they just need to score a touchdown in the first quarter for you to hit this bet. And with them getting the ball first in all likelihood, I'll take my chances on them getting more possessions than the Chiefs and finding the end zone. I'll take the Bucs over 6.5 points in the first quarter. Patrick Mahomes over 40.5. I talked about that earlier. He threw the ball 49 times last time, and I expect the game plan to be about the same. And in games where they're favored by 3.5 or less, he averages 45 attempts a game. So I'll take the over 40.5 on Patrick Mahomes pass attempts, and we don't give a shit if they're completed because he just has to throw it. And then I'm going to take Mahomes under 19.5 rushing yards. He actually hasn't hit that once so far in the playoffs. The more than 19.5 rushing yards. He wouldn't have hit it once so far in the playoffs. And I know he had an extra week, but he has the neck injury thing, the nerve. He has turf toe that doesn't go away. That he's gonna need just rest for that. It's not gonna get better over a 2-week span. And with this Buccaneers defense, when you have that front and you have Levante David and Devin White flying behind, I think they can limit Mahomes' ability to scramble. I'll take the under 19.5 for Mahomes. I'm going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 15.5 receiving yards. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball, and then if they do, it's going to be Darnell Williams who is going to be getting the bulk of the carries for this Chiefs offense. He's the better pass blocker. He's not the better running back than Helaire, but he's the hot hand. He's been playing well, but he is, most importantly, the healthiest running back these Chiefs have. Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell, neither of them are 100%, but I will take Helaire to get 3 catches for over 15 yards, and I'll take that to the bank. And then Edwards-Helaire, I don't know if I'm going to play this, but this is a slight lean right now. I would take the Edwards-Helaire under 7.5 rushing attempts. He had 6 versus the Bills, and I expect them to honestly be throwing the ball even more. This matchup, I kind of like the under 7.5 rushing attempts for Edwards-Helaire. And it's kind of worth noting that right now Darnell Williams is actually – his over-under for rushing attempts is 8.5. So that means Vegas is expecting Darnell Williams to be the guy rushing the ball for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Now, Sean, I got the most important one out of all the prop bets, out of all the bets. What color is the Gatorade going to be when they dump it on a coach at the end? They got analytics.
I thought I did. I thought I did last year. I lost 3 bets last year when it came to the Super Bowl. I had the Chiefs -3. I had the over. I had the I hit all the halftime props. J-Lo's first song was going to be Jenny from the Block. Hit that. Shakira's first song was She Wolf. Hit that. J-Lo over 3.5 wardrobe changes. I hit that. The only 3 bets I lost was the national anthem. I had the over 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Demi Lovato had never sung a national anthem under 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I went back and watched every national anthem that she ever did, but she was speed racing through that. So that's where my film study and analytics did not pay off. She speed raced through that. I feel like somebody set me up there. But the under hit, I was the only person in the bar to yell out "fuck" in the middle of the national anthem.
You didn't factor in the nerve factor.
But yeah, well, I was hoping she was gonna carry out that last note like most singers do, and it was gonna get me another 30. But Gatorade was also the other bet I lost. I went back and watched, believe it or not, I went back and watched all the Chiefs and even the Eagles with Andy Reid when he was the head coach, because I'm pretty sure the team, the medical staff, and the head coaching staff are in charge of what flavor Gatorade is out there. It was always orange. So I bet orange for the Gatorade, and it was lemon lime. So again, I don't know if you can rely on analytics or film study when it comes to the Gatorade bath.
Damn. All right. Well, that's one of my favorite. I love the prop bets, man, for the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
There's just so many cool things out there.
Clear and water is like plus 400. Has the third highest odds.
You want to talk about a funny prop bet?
The Senior Bowl had me messed up. when they had the Reese's Cup coming down.
Yeah.
Let's hear a good prop bet, Sean.
I'm not saying it's a good. I'm just saying you said you like prop bets, so
yeah, they're fun.
If you can make your way to Atlantic City, the Golden Nugget down there, they're the only place that has it. But I think it's kind of interesting. I may be down in Atlantic City this weekend, so I may go down there and just fuck around and throw a little bit on it. But they actually have a prop bet of the first player to score a touchdown, what his last name would be in Scrabble points.
What?
Yeah. So if you, that's probably the most interesting prop I've ever heard.
Right.
Was you can bet on.
We're trying to rope all the middle-aged women in there to bet.
You can bet on the over/under of Scrabble points that the player who scores the first touchdown would get.
I hope it's not Gronk.
Yeah, because then that's probably a surefire cash over.
Right. Oh man, that's a cool one. Yeah, it's just the prop
I might just bet the under and hope it's
nowadays.
Evans or Hill.
Yeah, I mean the prop bets are fun. You get people that don't really know football, that don't really watch football, but are
that's
watching
why
Super Bowl. That's stuff you go for.
Not so much with the props. I mean, yeah, sure, some people dabble, but like the Super Bowl is the biggest event in the world every year. I mean, definitely in America, and you're gonna get people because there's casual bettors, who just bet here and there. They'll play a couple bucks. Who will play throughout the season. But like the Super Bowl brings out even more. Like people look at the Super Bowl as like a lottery ticket kind of, where they're like, hey, I'm gonna be sitting here watching this game. Let me see how it goes.
Especially when when you have the opportunity to bet on stuff that's not even the game itself, too. You know what
that's
I mean?
What I'm saying. But that's actually why
J-Lo wardrobe performances like that gets middle-aged women hype all over the country.
And that's actually why I feel like I told you guys, like when the Super Bowl comes, like I lock in when it comes to how my numbers look and all that, and like where I make my bets. Because when you have people like that coming in and betting on the random shit, and like you have there's more out there, there's more handicap for the books at stake. It kind of makes it harder on the guys who are the pro bettors and guys who do it for a living and do it often. Because the numbers will vary, and you'll be like, all right, I like this number where it's at as it is, but then you come day of the game, and boom, numbers change because so many people came in and dumped in, and like there's people who never play, like they're gonna come in, they're gonna bet Tyreek Hill over, they're gonna come in and bet Travis Kelce over, like they're not gonna do any contrarian picks, but it makes it harder because it will raise the numbers up for guys who are actually looking to bet a substantial amount of money and cash in.
Awesome. So I want to switch over. I want to switch over to the Super Bowl trivia, and I want to throw out the first question to you guys.
Okay.
I got a good one. Let's see how good your memory is. Let me bring up the phone here. The longest pass for a touchdown was 85 yards in the Super Bowl. Can you tell me who threw it or who caught it?
Brett Favre?
No. I'll give you a hint. Both these guys probably retired when we were in middle school, since we're all about the same age.
Both of these guys retired
in middle school. So it was probably the 90s era. It's like the 90s-ish era, like back in the 90s-ish.
More like 2000.
2000s-ish?
Yeah. I'll give you the wide receiver, and then
Kurt Warner.
Nope. All right, I'll give you the quarterback.
No. Do not give me the quarterback. Hold on one second. It's not Trent Dilfer, is it?
No. So the quarterback was Jake Delhomme.
Oh, Steve Smith and Jake Delhomme.
Wasn't Steve Smith.
Ricky Prohl.
Mushin Muhammad.
There you go, Zach.
Mushin Muhammad.
Yeah, Ricky Prohl. I actually rewatched that Super Bowl the other day when it was on NFL Network, and he had caught a touchdown for the Rams, and then turned around and called a touchdown for the Panthers when they made the Super Bowl too. And the guy played like 10 plays a game, but called his touchdown in 2 Super Bowls.
That's pretty badass.
The Scotty Miller effect, baby. That's gonna be Scotty Miller win the Super Bowl MVP.
I bet. I'm addicted. I'm addicted to betting the Buccaneers, and I'm addicted to betting on fucking Scotty Miller over receiving yards because he just catches one a game and it cashes.
56 yards.
That was one of the best playoff plays, literally, of all time last week versus the Packers right before the half. That was one of the best playoff plays I've ever seen. That was something I could tell you I would never expect to happen. That was almost like Minnesota Miracle. I think you guys feel like I'm being dramatic right now, but like honestly, to literally let Scotty Miller run right behind you in quarters coverage to end the first half after you were already like teetering, like we knew the momentum wasn't on your side and you were at home and you really didn't have the home field advantage effect and to allow that to happen, like that just shows you right there. I feel like everybody that made me live line the Bucs right then and there. So that was an absolute dagger. But let me ask you guys a couple yes or no questions real quick. Who you starting your franchise with, Mahomes or Brady?
I mean, as a rookie, like if I both get them as a rookie.
Yeah, you get both of them as a rookie. The rookie versions of both.
Mahomes.
Yeah, I feel like Mahomes is obviously, the popular answer based off of his talent, but there's intangibles you can't teach with Tom Brady. So it's not an outrageous question, but I feel like most people obviously.
That's a tough one.
The past.
I thought about it for a second, but I just think like the arm talent standpoint, I would have to go with Mahomes for that. But then again, if you take Tom Brady, you're getting him for 23 years.
That's what I'm saying. You're getting look, Tom Brady's almost as old as Patrick Mahomes Sr. He's like 7 years younger than Patrick Mahomes Sr., which is outrageous.
Mahomes could literally be his kid.
For real. Is this the best tight end matchup of all time? Rob Gronkowski versus Travis Kelce.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm
trying to think.
Yeah. I mean, are you just saying like game-wise or in the Super Bowl?
I'm just saying, is this the two best tight ends on one football field we've ever seen?
I would say yes, but I feel like if there was a matchup of like Tony Gonzalez and like Shannon Sharp back in the day, would definitely push.
Well, I feel like that's a question that no one ever really even goes down that type of street. Like we always talked about, we glorified Gronk, and very deservingly so, but no one really ever talks about all-time wise where Travis Kelce now ranks. Like he just put up the most receiving yards by a tight end.
I think Travis Kelce's a top 5, top 3 tight end ever.
Yeah.
And I think for me, talent-wise, I think Gronk's, he might not have the longevity and the numbers just over a longevity standpoint to show for it, but I mean, I've never seen a more talented tight end than Gronk ever. And that goes from receiving the ball, what he's able to do with his hand in the dirt as well as a blocker. I mean, that's what's so scary about these games. You want to bet on prop bets, and then you just see the superstars that are like just layered, and you know how both teams are set up. Tom Brady, one thing we know about him, he does not care who's catching the ball as long as somebody's catching it and putting it into the end zone. So we could see him trying to get comfortable with Gronk again and getting 10 catches with Gronk somehow, or Sammy Watkins for the Chiefs, on the other hand, to go crazy like he normally does once or twice a year. So when you look at these Super Bowl MVP prop bets, it's so crazy. You see Antonio Brown plus 5,500, Leonard Fournette, some guys that we've seen that were on other teams that were literally the best skill position player that team had to offer. And now on both sides, it's just like a combined superstar showdown. But
100%, it's
who has the edge on the coaching matchup?
Chiefs.
And that's just not only play calling wise offensively, because we obviously have 2 offensive minded coaches, but decision making as well.
Andy Reid has only been fired once. Bruce Arians was with.
But Andy Reid, one thing that people will hold Andy Reid at his kryptonite is at times his clock management. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people always do go back to the Jacksonville Super Bowl with the Eagles in 2004, but I don't know how much that had to do with Don McNabb just kind of jogging and lagging around in the fourth quarter and really wasting time in that type of manner, or it was Andy Reid himself, or the cheesesteak that Donovan McNabb apparently ate before the games. And a crazy stat for you guys, even though he's not involved anymore. But Don McNabb, every game that he's ever played in Florida, threw up before every single game he ever played in Florida. That Super Bowl was obviously in Jacksonville. So just be happy this weekend. If you're a Chiefs or Bucs fan, Don McNabb is not your quarterback. And I know one person that's really happy to hear that he's not their quarterback is Andy Reid himself. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, I mean, it's just not even close. All everyone ever said was, whether you were a fan of the Eagles or a fan of the Packers back in the day with Reid or whatever, everyone always said if Andy Reid gets one Super Bowl, it automatically skyrockets him up to top 5 head coach of all time, or top 10, wherever you want to put him.
He's 3 in my opinion.
Yeah, so he
was pushing that borderline even before he got a ring.
And the Super Bowl cemented it. The Super Bowl cemented it, and now from what looked like he may retire eventually in the near future, getting Pat Mahomes, the big contract that Pat has. I mean, we could see Andy Reid coaching for as long as he possibly, as long as his health and everything allows him to, as long as he doesn't pull like an Urban Meyer and start not feeling good when he's getting his ass kicked. He'll be around for a pretty long time. I had to throw the Urban Meyer shot in there, but Andy Reid, yeah, the Super Bowl has just cemented him as one of the all-time greats, and I'm happy to say that he was the head coach of my team for a very long time.
How about LaShawn McCoy going to be a healthy scratch in back-to-back Super Bowls? It's
tough, but I feel like he's done enough in his career with the Eagles and the first few years with the Bills where he can be like, all right, I think, and he kind of admitted it too, that he's kind of in this mentor role now. He's kind of helping out the guys get ready, telling them what and what not to do. As long as he's not telling them how to carry the ball, I'm sure he's doing a great job. And, it's kind of like, it's kind of like that ultimate payoff. You saw it with, I'm going to switch to basketball real quick. You saw it with Juwan Howard kind of tailing with those Miami Heat teams when it was LeBron.
Udonis has them right now.
Just to get those rings, you put in the work. People knew you were great at your height. You were one of the top 5 running backs at your height. Now you're just kind of chilling. He has a possibility to get back-to-back Super Bowl rings. I'm sure deep down playing in it probably hurts him a little bit. Not playing in it probably hurts him a little bit. But he's had the career now where he can be like, I kind of deserve those rings. You know what I mean? That's just me personally.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I don't think he is the best running back in Eagles history.
Right.
He had a couple of good seasons for the Bills when he first got traded there. And then he actually was playing okay for the Chiefs when they traded for him. And then he just kind of fell downhill. And then obviously Williams last year, Damian Williams came out of nowhere to kind of take a stranglehold on that running back position. And then there's just, when you have that many weapons, it's probably going to be the guy pushing 40 who's the healthy scratch.
Right.
Honestly, it was impressive that LaShawn McCoy was able to be that good for that long, though, with his style of running. Just so much shiftiness and just so much change of direction that he didn't wear down earlier, honestly. So, but at the end of the day, if you're a coach, there's no regardless of who you are, you have to suit up the best players, especially in this matchup. You need the best 46 to 48 active players that you can possibly suit up.
There's no freebies. There's no freebies.
There's no freebies. I really don't know how much LaShawn McCoy can really offer to the Tampa Bay Bucks backfield, especially with some of the other guys getting healthy. So they have some other decisions that they definitely have to make. But LaShawn McCoy at the height of his game, man, there wasn't really too many exciting running backs. And the one thing about him was he was original. You can't really compare anybody to LaShawn McCoy. No one really ran like that. We were getting excited about LaShawn McCoy in preseason highlight tapes when he went for the crazy juke fest versus the Carolina Panthers when he's still playing with the Eagles in preseason. So that's how exciting he was. He would even get you out of your seat in a preseason game. So the Eagles preseason, not to get on the Eagles though, but the Eagles preseason setups were always interesting because I have Mike Mayock, who's now the Raiders GM, calling their games too. So he always gave you some different insight on those. But just to see Andy Reid, I was putting him in the top 5 head coaches of all time, even before he got a Super Bowl ring. That was just more clarification. I think that pushes him more so towards, depending on what he does, he can really find himself at the top rank. If he goes on a wild run and say in the next 10 to 15 years, he's able to capture 5 Super Bowls, I'm not going to say he's going to do it, but he definitely has the formula and the algorithm right now, it seems like, that he could potentially get that feat. The one thing that people don't really take into effect that is crazy about Tom Brady's career and Bill Belichick, obviously, comparing if Andy Reid were to be considered the greatest coach of all time, I think Bill Belichick has cemented himself in that conversation pretty nicely too. But the Patriots won Super Bowls in 2001, 2003, 2004, 2014, 16, and 18. That's a decade layoff right there. And a couple Super Bowl losses in between 2004 to 2014. So that's a really long time. So if Andy Reid's able to do it on a quicker timeline than Bill Belichick did it over his tenure, or whatever you want to call it, his 2 decades with Tom Brady at quarterback and him calling the shots, I don't think it's crazy to say that people might start considering Andy Reid if he's able to do that. The greatest coach of all time.
Absolutely. Like I said, I have him third right now. He would definitely, in my opinion, probably have to win at least 5 more to even be up in that.
That sounds crazy, but it really doesn't sound so
Belichick.
crazy with the Chiefs out, or like the Chiefs team. Like that means they would lose like every 3 years they would win a Super Bowl. And if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm looking at the Chiefs roster, I'd take those odds, honestly, for them to do that.
100%. 100%. I mean, their key core is locked up for the foreseeable future. Mahomes is locked up for the next decade, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And not only could Andy Reid maybe pass Belichick, but does Mahomes pass Brady? It's going to be interesting to see play out. And it starts Sunday in Tampa in the Super Bowl. Real quick before we get out, predictions. Nick, who wins?
All right, I'm going to go Tampa Bay. The Bucs in this one. I just think Tom Brady feels like he's got to prove maybe that he is, still great, even though this young upstart is eventually going to take his spot as the number 1 quarterback in the league. I think Tom knows that, and I think Tom wants to prove to the young gun, I'm still here, and as long as I'm here, you ain't taking this from me. He's got to have a bad taste in his mouth from, losing to Philly, so he's always competitive in Super Bowls. It's just, like you said, it's hard to bet against Pat, but Tom Brady's just the GOAT and has been around for longer. So let's go 38-31.
Ooh, you almost sniped me right there. You almost got me.
Sean, what do you got?
Almost got me.
I don't know. I'm gonna say something, but I leave it out there. Green Zone Saturday will be my official call in the game.
Unofficial pick.
But right now I would say, give me the Buccaneers 34 and the Bucs 28.
Okay. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be the first team ever to not only play in their home field and have home field advantage in the Super Bowl during the coronavirus era, how ironic, but also be the first team ever to win a Super Bowl in their home stadium. Give you guys a little peep on the bet right here. The bets that I like, correct score. Obviously, it's a little outrageous, but here's my algorithm with the correct score. If you go onto FanDuel, they let you literally click between like 200 to 300 options of correct scores, and they have outrageous odds. So I put a couple in. Say you put $5 increments on each one, you spend like $100. You could still, each bet is hitting for plus 1,700 odds or plus 17,000 odds. So if you somehow correctly depict the score, if you can turn a $5 bet into $850. So I'm going to go 38-34 plus 17,000 odds, $5 to win $850. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
There's also an interesting prop on FanDuel. I'm going to be playing it for $100 on Sunday. Scoregami. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that Twitter account. It's Scoregami tweets out at the end of every football game whether the score had ever been repeated in the NFL, and says this is the 1,057th unique score ever in the NFL. Like, no game has ever ended 56-53 or some shit like that. Plus 1,100 odds for this Super Bowl if you pick yes that this will be a scoregami on FanDuel. I'm going to play it for $100 to win 1,100, because why not? I mean, you literally have it's a crapshoot. I mean, you don't know what the hell the game's going to end. It could end 2-0. No game's ever fucking ended 2-0, and you could win $1,100. So, I mean, as long as the score has never been repeated in NFL history, then you can profit. So I'm going to be playing that for $100, and I think that's an interesting scoregami. It's also one of my favorite Twitter accounts. I always check it after every NFL Sunday to see what unique combinations came out.
Was Super Bowl that ended in a safety, like 2-0, would that be exciting, or would that be like boring? I don't even know how.
It would be the worst game ever.
I would have
I don't know how I would feel about like a standstill like that to be broken by a safety to win the game. Like I that would just have me like mentally, like I don't know how, like if I could mess with football anymore.
I will say this: I would hate the entire 3 hours of watching the game, but then at the end, when I check my account, it'll be all right with me.
Oh yeah, scoreometer. Yeah. Now that is an interesting sport or point that you brought up because the last time that we saw this star-studded of a Super Bowl matchup, we were actually talking about this off air right before we started. Denver, Seattle Super Bowl 43-8. That was the first time that score was ever recorded, and that was the Super Bowl that year. So, I mean, if you can get lucky, 43-8, that's a little funky score. Usually, I obviously see 40 multiples of 7, 42-7, or maybe someone goes for 2 at some point, 43-7. But for both,
and
it's
literally a crapshoot. Last year, I put $100 on to win 400 that the game would be tied at halftime. It was 10-10. I lucked out. Won 400. Like it's a crapshoot. I love bets like that to where it's like no matter what the hell happens in the game, like you got a chance. So
yeah, there's bets like that. There's I think it's like plus 55 or 5,500 or plus 7, somewhere in that range on FanDuel too. Obviously, any type of sports book that you're looking on, but like any position between running back, wide receiver, tight end, and fullback, any of those positions, if they win Super Bowl MVP. Or you can take the field and any position that's not that, or you can take all defensive players if it's a defensive player that hits. Another reference back to the Denver Seattle Super Bowl, that was the last time that I can remember a defensive player winning. Of all the crazy Hall of Famers littered all over that field, Malcolm Smith comes home with the Super Bowl MVP odds. That had to have hit for like plus 50,000 that night.
Yeah,
had to have
easily, 100%. And
so don't get scared when you start seeing Antonio Brown. He might be limited. Don't even be looking into all that type of stuff. Like if you feel about Devin White, like I honestly like Devin White Super Bowl MVP odds. If he starts having a day on defense, gets a couple turnovers. I mean, there's so many players in this matchup. Le'Veon Bell. If you would have told me 5 years ago, Le'Veon Bell for Super Bowl MVP odds would be over plus 10,000, I would have told you you're absolutely insane. And that's the time period we're in now. And if you would have even said that about either of the Steelers players between him and Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown's like plus 55. And at the end of the season with Antonio Brown, if Tom Brady has a nice day passing but isn't really high in touchdowns, like throwing touchdowns or passing touchdowns, and it's more so of a day like that, but he has high yardage, you could see another game where Deion Branch, when he won Super Bowl MVP, because he has 11 catches and 140-something yards, and Antonio Brown had 11 catches for 144 like week 16. So I don't really know. If you guys had to mark it down to one guy, not even based off odds, like and take the quarterbacks obviously out of the situation, who do you think would be the Super Bowl MVP?
Taking quarterbacks out of the situation?
Yeah, you got it. That's too easy. You can't be.
All right.
I have a guy that I'm probably going to play. He's not a quarterback, but I'm going to throw some money on it just because it's not going to be nothing crazy. But playoff Lenny. Fournette's been the hot hand. If he finds the end zone a couple times,
yes,
rushes for close to 100 yards, catches the ball out the backfield, and the Buccaneers win, I could 100% see Leonard Fournette get in there, and he's plus 2,200 right now.
He's like the third or fourth highest odds too.
He's the fourth highest odds. Yep.
For me, I know from looking it up that with the wide receivers, since Sean went running back, I'll go wide receivers. The two wide receivers you'd want to look at to win the MVP are actually Tyreek Hill, obviously, because Patrick Mahomes has the most multi-touchdowns to Tyreek Hill in a game. So Tyreek Hill having more than one touchdown in a game. While Tom Brady, and this could be because of some injuries, but this year, Tom Brady has Godwin as the wide receiver who has the most touchdowns over one touchdown in a game. So 2 or 3. So those are the two wide receivers you can really look at. But, I mean, there's just so many good players on this. I mean, Malcolm Smith won the MVP once. It's tough.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's why it's so hard to pick. But then again, we saw you saw Von Miller win it.
I think that was actually after Seattle.
Yep.
Von Miller won it when the Broncos beat the Panthers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was actually literally about to bring that up. Like Von Miller won that, and then Malik Jackson in the same game had 3 sacks at the defensive tackle position. So, I mean, we see guys going crazy in the Super Bowl all over. So there's so many superstars in this matchup too, and it's just based off. It's literally a 1-game algorithm. It's not like you're taking them in fantasy football and you're like all the odds for this guy to put up this many points. It's literally 1 game. All these guys that have this talent, like I had like Antonio Brown, man. With his talent level and the odds on that, I feel like that's like such a good bet. I feel the same thing about Leonard Fournette. Obviously, you want to stay away from the quarterback just because even though they're the most likely to hit, it's just not giving you the odds that you would like to.
Yeah,
hit
they're both minus money. That's just because if they're quarterbacks, but it's going to be interesting to see it play out. Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, non-quarterbacks who also have a chance to win the MVP. We heard it. Zach and Nick are both on the Bucs. I said the Chiefs, but I could be on the Bucs tomorrow. Who the fuck knows? I change my mind every 3 hours for this game. But my official pick will be Saturday. But even then, I reserve the right to change it Sunday. But if I do, I will tweet out that I changed my pick, and hopefully you didn't bet already. But no, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have something in my head locked in by Saturday. But I kind of want to root for the Bucs, so I'm hoping Nick and Zach are correct. But
I was just about to say one last thing before we get out of here. What is teetering the seesaw for you? What is making you so skeptical, leaning to either side?
It's just like every time like I look at it or like I run a different like group of numbers, it's like something stands out to me. Like when even before I ran my numbers, I was like, all right, Buccaneers have a great pass rush, a great front seven. Chiefs are missing their starting two tackles. I'm betting the Bucs. Then I ran the numbers and I'm like, Buccaneers get torched through the air a little bit. The deep, they have a pretty good pass defense, but on the deep balls, they get torched. That's the Chiefs game. I'm like, I kind of like the Chiefs. Then I go back and I look and I'm like, Leonard Fournette could have a big game and keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands. Then Brady just has to be efficient and not lose it. I like the Bucs. Then I run another number and I'm like, well, sometimes the Buccaneers offensive line stinks versus this type of matchup. I could see Frank Clark having a day, Christian Jones, and I'm like, it's fucking hard. I might end up just flipping a coin and then picking it, but it's hard. It's just every day I go back and forth. And like we said before we came on the show, it's two quarterbacks. What's the two rules when you bet NFL? You never bet against Tom Brady. You never bet against Patrick Mahomes. Fuck it, just bet on them both and bet the over. I mean, who knows? It's so hard, but I can't decide. And it's driving me nuts all week and last week as well. But we're getting closer to game time, so we're gonna hone in and try to figure it out on Sunday with the Green Zone when that comes out. And Zach is still doing the Unsportsmanlike podcast, and I drop in the Daily Dose. We'll return next week. Nick is producing both shows, by the way, so he's pulling double duty and he's doing his thing, and we couldn't do it without him. But until next time,
sir,
we'll talk to you then.